Hello, everybody. Welcome to Just for Women Africa, and my name is Odoleko Amosar. We're on a Zoom interview all the way from Lagos, Nigeria. We have with us Uche Awulo, who is a classical singer, and she sings lovely music. I mean, I heard her sing and I was blown away. She'll be talking to us about how she started singing and her plans for the future. So stick around, and we'll be right back.
Raindrops and roses and whiskers and kittens, bright copper kettles and warm woolen mittens, brown paper packages tied up with strings. These are a few of my favorite things. Cream-colored ponies and crisp apple strudels, doorbells and sleigh bells.
Okay, everybody, welcome back to Just for Women Africa. And we have with us Uche. Hello, Uche. Welcome to Just for Women Africa.
Thank you, Leko. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome, Uche. All right, Uche. First of all, I'd like to ask, how long have you been singing for?
I've been singing for about 14, 15 years. Well, professionally, far much less, for about 6 years now.
So when did you first discover that you're able to sing the way you sing? At what age, and how did your parents react to that and everybody react to it?
I first discovered I could sing from about the age of 14, thereabout, and I discovered through the help of my siblings who were in the choir, the church choir then. So it was all fun at that age and nothing too serious, going to church choir and singing in the church and all of that. It was all fun, and my parents were pretty much supportive of what we were doing at the time, having godly children. So yeah, they were very supportive.
All right, so basically, started off in the church choir singing. So when you discovered you could sing, did you get help, like somebody teaching you or coaching you how to sing, from the age of 14 to now?
Well, I had the privilege of being in a musical community, sort of, to some extent. You had people who had been to other places and heard other kinds of performances and stuff. So they would come around a lot to our parish then and try to coach and teach us how to sound like this or sing like that, and basically stuff like that. And then moving on from that point on, I knew for sure that I wanted more for myself as a person, as a singer, not just what we were taught and acquire, certain sort of. So that was the much I could get at that level until I decided I had to move away to study music professionally.
Okay. So where did you study music professionally at?
My first experience of formal music training was at the University of Lagos in 2018, where I did my postgraduate diploma in music at the Creative Arts Department. And then afterwards, I got the MTN Foundation Scholarship to study vocal performance at the Musical Society of Nigeria in 2020. So that was courtesy of the MTN Foundation. I studied that for another 2 years, and that was it.
When was your major break and you decided, like, okay, instead of just practicing and singing, instead of just singing in the church, you'd like to take it on professionally? When was that, and what were the moves you did to ensure that you got to a professional stage?
I first started singing in the church, and then someone called me one day and said, my boss works at this company and we're having an end of the year party and stuff. I think your voice could feature there. And told the boss about this girl, and then the boss says, I want to hear you. And then I do a couple of songs which were not church songs, and then it was like, okay, this is good. And from that moment on, the thought just kept coming, like, what are the possibilities of doing this in a more in a broader space, sort of doing music professionally as a major source of livelihood and not just a Sunday affair. I started to nurse the idea that there is a possibility of me performing as a of me being a performing musician outside the church. So from that point on, from 2016 and 2017, I started to seek out means of studying music. I was calling friends. I was telling people, anybody that cared to know, do you know where I can do this? Do you know where I can do that? That was how it all started from that point on during my service here in Enugu.
Let's talk about your voice. I heard you sing. How do you get those tones? Because I heard you sing The Sound of Music, it's one of the soundtracks. How do you get those pitches? Is this something that you trained over the years, or you look at something and you just decide you're going to sing? Because it was really, really amazing.
Well, I'd say there's talent, which is like 30%, and the other 70% is hard work. So talent is just an aspect of it. Everything that I do is mostly as a result of work, and of course, not excluding the grace of God. So I would say that for the clip you just saw, The Sound of Music, my favorite things, I believe. I had to, over time, just sort of like try to get used to. I think I would use the term trying to mimic the sound that I heard as a child. It's right here in my head. So I just think, oh, this is how Maria sounds. I'm going to try to sound like Maria. And, that's how I did that. So, yeah, I can't really explain. But if you talk about how I hit the top notes, I would say training, practice, practice, practice. I think I worry much about the low notes more than the high notes. So I just practice and let the sound flow.
So could you tell us, you've been in the music industry since you were 14. Who do you love to collaborate with, in doing music together?
That's an interesting one. Who would I love to collaborate with? When we're talking about classical musical opera, I have a bunch of people that I would love to collaborate with. But generally, the top on my list would be Katherine Jenkins and Andrea Bocelli.
Okay, why?
Katherine Jenkins was the first classical singer I started listening to as a child. I would clear my phone memory. It had less than 10 MB at the time. I would wipe it away totally clean and download 2 of her songs at a time and listen to it. And when I got tired, I'll delete the 2 and download another 2. So I was saturated with her voice, sort of. I loved the sound. I loved the richness. Andrea Bocelli was marvelous. I can't stop listening to Andrea Bocelli. So yeah, if you ask me who would I love to collaborate with, it will first of all be Katherine Jenkins and Andrea Bocelli, and then you have the likes of Audrey McDonald and a couple of other awesome singers. I have an all-time African favorite, which is Angelique Kidjo. I'd love to collaborate with Angelique Kidjo. She is.
Definitely. She is somebody, you should definitely collaborate with. She's a great musician. Okay. Could you tell us, over the years, could you tell us what was your best performance ever?
My best performance ever was my last performance. Yeah. Or I'll say my last 2 performances. Yeah. The last one, the sound wasn't so great. So I'll say it was the last 2 performances at the opera. The opera scenes we did here at the Musical Society of Nigeria, where I played the role of Hero Kalije in the opera Nkosi Fantute, which means women are like that. So I basically played the role of a rich girl, a young girl who is in love with a guy, and the guy assumingly had gone to war, and some other guy who is also the guy but in disguise, it's sort of like trying to woo her, and she's trying to stand her ground, like, no, 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 I won't fall in love, and no matter what you do, I'm not, this kind of thing. So I was very happy to do that kind of thing, like, no, women, we will not fall, kind of thing. And I think that was my best performance for this year.
Okay. I can't tell your worst performance ever. The way you think about it, you go like, oh my God, no way.
There's this performance that I had that, I still try to wrap my head around it. Everything happened so fast. When I modulated, and it wasn't yet time to modulate. So the keyboardist, the accompanist was still retained the previous key, and I had shifted to a new key. So when he realized that I had shifted, he has to now drift like this. And by that time I sang like a few bars. So it was very awkward for musical minds. I hated myself. But someone said to me after the performance, he says, relax, you have many more to make things right. And it turns out, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was when I listened to it again. But then I would do anything to take that moment away.
I know. Things like that will happen. Before I round up, could you tell us what are some of your favorite classical musics?
Some of my favorite classical musics. I like Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata. I'm sorry, these are like piano pieces. I like Rachmaninoff's Vocalise. I like Bach's Fugue in C minor. Then for vocal music, I'm in love with all of Mozart's work. So I'm a Mozart fan. I don't know what kind of music you're familiar with. I also love Broadway. Yes, the likes of Sound of Music. This, I don't know if you've seen Vivo.
Okay.
Vivo. I listen to a lot of Broadway music as well. The Princess and the Frog.
That's nice.
Things like that. I listen to a lot of Broadway. I think if I wasn't actually doing classical music or opera, I would have really loved to focus solely on Broadway.
As we bring the interview to a close, what is your advice to women all over Africa? Who would love to get into the classical music like you, but haven't seen the opportunity, to get to the level you're at, or they're looking for somebody to train them and all that. What is your advice to them?
So if you want to do classical music, for instance, and you look around you, there are no institutions, no academies, there's no good voice coach to work with and all of that. Don't give up. You could check online, trying to reach out to someone, trying to reach out to just anybody. And if they say no, trying to reach out to another person.
Thank you a lot, Uche, for being with us here on Just for Women in Africa. Really enjoyed spending time with you. We look forward to interviewing again in the future, and we wish you all the best in the classical music industry in Nigeria.
Thank you, Leko. It was nice being here on your program.